Hello and welcome to CivilNet. Joining me today is Dr. Raffi Philllipe Kalfayan, a lawyer in international public law, an associate researcher at the Paris Pantheon Assas University, and the former Secretary General of the International Federation for Human Rights. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Azerbaijan recently, earlier this week, released 32 prisoners of war, but dozens more remain imprisoned in Azerbaijan. Those captive include high-profile politicians, including the Qarabagh's former presidents, foreign ministers, state minister, and many others. Could you shed light on how their rights are being violated, and considering the circumstances of their capture, their current conditions, and the legal processes that they face right now?
Well, beforehand, I'd like to say that in the list of 32 prisoners which have been released, if you have noticed, there was one of Lebanese Armenian origin, which has not been, who has not been released. So, so you can see the difference they make between military people, so soldiers, and people who were not military personnel and who were even considered as mercenaries or terrorists. Sure. So that shows already the difference of treatment we are doing between the people. Secondly, and we come to the 8 political and military leaders that have been arrested and detained. So these people are currently under pre-trial investigation. They are communicating with their families. The Ombudsman of Azerbaijan is also visiting them. There are some charges already indicated by the Azerbaijani government. Especially, they have delivered these charges to the European Court of Human Rights. But these charges are temporary. So the investigation is not over. So we don't know exactly what will be the final charges retained against them. But these charges are, of course, very serious because they are all related to terrorism. So terrorism, financing of terrorism, organization of armed groups, threat to national security. So, and according to the criminal code of Azerbaijan, so they risk in fact sanctions which can go to lifelong imprisonment. Saying that, so this is the view of Azerbaijani side, because from a pure international law aspect, these people have been arbitrarily arrested. So some because their families were under pressure, others have surrendered by themselves, which is the case of David Babayan or Araik Arutunian. So, but in both cases, they had no choice. So this is arbitrary. And this is strange, in fact, because here we have a double aspect. First of all, how can they considered as people subjected to the criminal code of Azerbaijan? So obviously Azerbaijan considers that the crimes they have committed were committed on the territory of Azerbaijan. But against whom? Since 30 years, there were no more Azeri people there. So they will try to show that the secession that Artsakh made, so 30 years ago or more than 40 years now, and the resistance, so the military resistance to Azerbaijani power state were in fact considered as terrorist acts. Well, we will see how serious are these allegations. For the time being, we should abstain from making any assessment of these charges. We should wait for the investigation to be over. And as you know, because it has been made public in the press, Azerbaijan has created a special unit for investigation of this, of the crimes of these 8 people.
And so the imprisonment of the former Artsakh leadership, and dozens of other individuals as well, it raises questions about Azerbaijan's or Baku's motivations. In your analysis, what are the strategic or political objectives that Azerbaijan might be trying to pursue by keeping so many prisoners of war?
Well, initially, before the arrestation of these 8 leaders, there were many hostages. So because they were prisoners of wars, so protected by international humanitarian law. But now, with these 8 leaders, the message is totally different. This is my personal assessment, and not the one by any other institution. I consider that Baku is trying to humiliate the Armenian nation. They want to show that the Armenians, by trying to secede from Azerbaijan, committed a mistake, and so they want to make an example for any future Armenian who would like to revive the idea of a free and independent Artsakh. That's first. And the profile of these 8 leaders is not indifferent also to this reasoning, because they were representative of a resistance, of a resilience to this Azerbaijani oppression, subjugation. And that's why this is worrying about their case. So my opinion is that they may try them, condemn them, and then the eventual release by granting pardon will depend on the political process. So political process, of course, in international aspects, and especially there are hostages of Armenia-Azerbaijani peace negotiations.
Understood. Earlier you mentioned how serious the allegations were. Several prisoners, including figures like Ruben Vartanyan, have been facing charges like terrorism financing, and those come with serious consequences as well. Do international bodies have some kind of role to play? Can they intervene on to stop these charges, these outrageous charges?
So here I would like to remind that even if we had a decision from international court, so whatever the court, if Azerbaijan doesn't want to execute the sanction of a court, they can do it. There is no international police that can force him to do that. That's first. So my second point is about the use of some UN, United Nations special procedures, and especially the working group on arbitrary arrests and detention. So they may communicate on the case of these 8 persons. It will not change anything. And here I would like to remind everybody the case of one famous human rights sponsor in Turkey, whose name is Osman Kavala. Very known person in Turkey, very appreciated by many segments of the society. So he has been imprisoned due to the will of President Erdogan, because he was supporting, sponsoring so minority groups such as Armenians or Kurds. He was trying to create some dialogue between the Turkish society and this minority. He has been charged initially for sponsoring the Gezi movement in 2013, I believe. And afterwards, since these charges have not been proven, then he has been charged of being the sponsor of a coup that happened in 2016, and afterwards of supporting the PKK, so terrorist organization, Kurdish organization. And but without any proofs, again, he has been condemned to life prison. And most of the heads of states, even powerful states like US, France, Germany, so criticized and tried to change the mind of Erdogan. They didn't succeed. So that means that when you are facing an autocrat, it's almost impossible to change the mind of this person. So you are depending really on his personal will.
Oh gosh. Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Thank you for having this conversation with us, for giving us such valuable insight into the situation. And thank you at home for watching CivilNet.